Hi there, my lovelies. Welcome back to my channel, Boomy Reactions. I hope we are all feeling fine today. Now, I've got a bit of a treat for you. We're going to be catching up with Alton Brown again, in no particular order. This is not chronological. I saw the title of this episode and I had to ask and watch because it's breakfast noodles. What on earth is breakfast noodles? It's like two things that I would never put in the same sentence, same recipe title. Noodles over here, when we say noodles, we mean like Asian noodles, like wok fried kind of noodles, rice noodles, egg noodles. But I'm right in thinking in the USA, noodles can also refer to like pasta. So maybe breakfast noodles is more of a pasta dish, but even that in itself sounds quite odd. I would never wake up in the morning and think, I'm just going to whip myself up a big bowl of pasta. Seems like, I don't know, more of a lunch come dinner kind of treat. So yes, I am interested in where this is going. But saying that, we're not particularly adventurous here in the UK for breakfast. I wouldn't say so anyway. We have our good old English fry up, but I mean, they're not something you eat every day. Ooh, jeez, no, you'd have a lot of cardiac issues going on there. Anyway, cereal, pancakes, maybe. They're maybe a bit of a treat. Anyway, I've done an awful lot of talking already. I just spotted that expression on Alton Brown's face. He looks like such a grump. It's the morning though, to be fair. I am admittedly not a morning person. You don't want to talk to me unless I've had my coffee or a cup of tea. Yes, I do enjoy watching Alton Brown. I love the passion in which he talks about food. Obviously, he's got such an ignited, brilliant passion for cooking and food. But it's like it combines like a storyteller ability as well. So listening to him talk about recipes is so entertaining. His sense of humor, quite dry. I think he's just wonderful to watch. So guys, let's check out breakfast noodles. And if you're enjoying these reactions, my lovelies, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you so much. If you're interested, I have a Buy Me a Coffee account. That link is over here. And if you would like to help support this channel any further, I do have a Patreon account. If you fancy checking that out, that link is in the description below.
I love the smell of sausage in the morning. Smells like breakfast.
Of course.
Although I was conceived and delivered into the world under a bright California sun, my native DNA was cooked up in an above-ground gene pool in the North Georgia mountains. Deliverance country.
I wondered where that was going. I was conceived, ... Oh. Okay.
Where breakfast means biscuits, eggs, and either sausage with sawmill gravy or country ham with red-eye gravy. Breakfast is important in that part of the world because life means work and work needs fuel. Anyway, I spent a semester of college in a small Tuscan town where I heard tell, perhaps apocryphal, of American GIs after World War II, in Italy, of course, enjoyed a breakfast pasta, a dish of noodles and a sauce composed of eggs, grated Parmesan or Pecorino Romano, and deeply fried bits of guanciale, cured pork jowl. But some say American-style bacon procured via black market was on the original parts list. Doesn't matter. The dish may or may not become known as pasta carbonara, which is a little bit odd, I admit, because carbonara refers to coal miners, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Anyway, it's one of the most...
Oh, I know a little bit, I think, about this. So, yes, the carbonara, it's a strange name, isn't it, for the actual dish? But I think it refers to the miners, the coal miners, and the dishes that their partners' wives would cook them up to fill them up in the morning so that they would be able to work in the mines for the whole day, and then they wouldn't eat again until coming back up in the evening times. So I think that's why it's called carbonara, right, guys? It is to do with the miners, though. I always thought that's bizarre because carbonara, it's like a white cheesy sauce, eggy, creamy sauce. Anyway, Okay, so now I'm starting to understand. So carbonara, yes, eaten. Although I wouldn't eat it for breakfast now, but so is the tradition. So it went. So do people still eat carbonara for breakfast? It's very, very filling. Very. But then again, if you're not going to eat for the rest of the day, I understand it. Um, Carry on.
Beloved pasta dishes of the post-war
It is delicious.
era, most certainly. So anyway, when I returned, from the big week there, I started using breakfast sausage to make my own version of breakfast pasta carbonara with southern sausage, the food of my people, of course, standing in for the other pork bits.
Ah,
Let's make some.
yeah. Breakfast carbonara. Ooh. Now, normally, whenever I make carbonara quite often. Actually, it's very much a favorite in this house. Obviously, got to make it with the eggs and everything. You want to make it properly, haven't you? I normally just use spaghetti, but actually, that's probably, I don't know. It sounds quite plain, doesn't it? Is that the pasta of choice it's normally cooked up with? I suppose it coats it easily, doesn't it? But here we've got, oh gosh, I can't even remember the name of these big pasta tubes. Is it rigatoni?
Right, step one. Take a knife and chop up 2 green onions and set them aside. And then go ahead and chop about 1/4 cup's worth of fresh parsley. And then zest 1
carbonara.
orange. Valencia, if you can possibly get it. You're also going to need 1/3 cup of breadcrumbs. Now, I admit, I get picky about weird little things, and breadcrumbs is certainly
Oh boy, here we go.
one of those things. Like, don't get me wrong. Look, if I need panko breadcrumbs, I buy them because I almost never have the 5 9-volt batteries required to actually make my own. We'll do that some other time. But other breadcrumbs I make, and you should too. I mean, it's not like I'm asking you to churn butter or distill moonshine, which is highly illegal, despite the fact that you can easily obtain all the hardware required from Amazon. And look, here's my take on the breadcrumbs. I generally make croutons first, as breadcrumbs are really just croutons that have had a really bad day, right? So get yourself some bread, something relatively lean, a baguette or a Cuban loaf, my personal favorite now, and cut into cubes. If it's a little stale when you start, even better. Now you want those cubes to dry out, which in the case of a baguette, only takes about 30 minutes. Of course, you could also dry them in a very low oven, but either way, you're gonna then want to actually toast them a bit so that they're a little crunchy. And I use a toaster oven usually for that. And if you really want, you could toss them with some bacon drippings first
cheeky.
before toasting.
Oh.
I always have, bacon drippings around because what kind of hideous monster would ever throw away bacon drippings?
Right, ever since I started making a lot more American recipes, all of 6 months ago, I have, yes, I completely agree. Having bacon grease or bacon drippings hanging around it is fabulous because I don't know, like a lot of your recipes kind of call for it. I think, I tried, I was looking into making tortillas the other day, and cowboy Kent Rollins, cheeky secret ingredient in there. So always a good one to keep around. Absolutely. Now, the only other thing though, guys, even though my preference of bacon, the bacon in the UK is back bacon traditionally, but we do get streaky bacon, and it is definitely my bacon of choice. It's just what we buy. But we don't tend to get that much fat coming off it. I think maybe our belly bacon or streaky bacon is slightly leaner than yours, which is disappointing because it doesn't yield as much bacon grease. But yeah, I think that's maybe the fact, the missing factor there. They've got added water to it and less fat. So yes, it's a bit of a pain in the backside. Pain in the bum.
Anyway, once the croutons are nice and crisp, just cool them, on like paper towels to wick away some excess fat.
Nice.
Then you can just store them as croutons or go ahead and crush to crumbage. You can either put them in a Ziploc and smack them with a rolling pin if you want, or if you want something a little bit more uniform,
the food process.
which I usually do, just take them for a spin in your favorite food processor. In any case, you want to seal your breadcrumbs in a glass jar with a food-grade desiccant pack, as moisture is the sworn enemy of crispness.
It absolutely is. A lot of granola.
Now, we make our gremolata. Now, a gremolata
What?
is a finishing garnish or a seasoning. It's used in a lot of Italian and French cuisines. Classically composed of minced garlic, chopped parsley, and lemon zest. We're just going to be riffing on that a little bit. So to make ours, we'll combine a third of a cup of those homemade breadcrumbs, the quarter cup of chopped parsley, and the zest of one orange, which we've already done. But then I'm adding about a tablespoon of ground pork rinds. That's right, pork rinds. It's kind of my secret porky ingredient to make that.
Are these pork byproducts a common addition to cheeky little things like this? I've never heard. Oh my gosh. Let's see where this is going, because Alton Brown's already said that's his cheeky little secret. Might have to start adopting that one.
Honestly, all you have to do is buy yourself a bag of pork rinds and take them for a spin in a food processor. I know there are companies that are actually selling a panko made out of pork. I think this is probably the same thing. That's all there is to it. Okay, now set your gremolata aside as we turn to the pasta. Now this is gonna ruffle some feathers, but please just stick with me, okay?
Oh gosh. No, controversial.
Okay, place 8 ounces of rigatoni or any other shaped pasta that you'd like in just a large saucepan, and add enough cold water to cover with an inch to spare. That's it. That's all you need. Add a teaspoon of salt and bring to a mild boil over a medium-high heat, stirring often. Yes, I know that traditionally you would bring like a gallon of water to.
I know he's going to answer my question as soon as I press play, but adding pasta to cold water and then bringing it up to a boil, don't think I've ever done that. Normally, adding pasta to cold water, I think it starts that kind of, I wouldn't say cooking, it starts some kind of absorption process very slowly. But why would you do it? Doesn't that just delay the cooking? I'm asking these questions. He's going to answer me straight away. Let's see.
Boil before bringing even a single strand, tube, or twist to the party. But look, before you hardcore folk out there start gathering, throwing rocks, let's just talk.
They're lighting the torches, gathering the pitchforks.
Talk about what we're trying to get done here. Bring it in. Now, when you grind up wheat, mix it with water and extrude it through a shaped bronze die, which is how you make most dry pastas, you create a very specific kind of paste created by a protein matrix, mostly gluten, which tangles up with partially hydrated starch granules, okay? Which then crystallize during the drying process. When dehydrated, this matrix is incredibly stable, which is why even if you were to chop it up and eat it, you'd probably have a hard time getting nutrition from it. It's literally frozen in time and space. But when exposed to water, with the right amount of heat, that crystalline structure starts to soften, all right? This process does require water, but not much, right? And it also requires heat, but way under a boil, as the process kind of begins around 122 and doesn't really speed up past 176 Fahrenheit. Now, during this time, some of the starch granules, the surface of the pasta, burst open, releasing two different molecules of amylose and amylopectin, which go floating out in every direction, which is why pasta gets sticky during cooking.
Yeah.
I used rice for that.
I was sad.
That's a mixed metaphor. Sorry. So, what are the justifications for the big pot of water method? Well, boiling is easy to spot visually without a thermometer. And since water can't go beyond 212, at least not at sea level, it's just kind of an easy thermal target, okay? With a lot of water, it's less time for the boil to recover after the pasta goes in. And with a high ratio, you don't have to stir as much to prevent sticking, but there are downsides, ladies and gentlemen. Besides just being unnecessary. Bringing a lot of water to a boil requires time, which I never seem to have, not to mention energy, which none of us should waste. And of course, you need a really big pot, which a lot of people just don't possess. The other downside is that cooking pasta in a lot of water limits the starch that's released into the water, dilutes it, and I want that starch. I need that starch. I have got to have it. Okay, the only downside to the low water method is that, as the starch on the outside of the noodles starts to gelatinize, it will act like Velcro. So you got to keep your eye on it, stir often. And when the water hits a boil, back off on the heat and just maintain a simmer until whatever pasta you're cooking hits al dente, which is to say soft, but still with a little
bit of bite.
Resistance, pliable, but with fight. It's going to take 5 to 6 minutes. While the pasta gurgles away, cook 8 ounces of breakfast sausage, the kind that comes in plastic tubes, in a wide, heavy skillet over medium-high heat because we want it to brown like the edges of a smash burger. Southern versions of this kind of sausage typically include a fair amount of sage, but I like even more, so I'm adding a half teaspoon of dried or rubbed sage. Now's a good time to go ahead and add some black pepper, freshly ground, of course. And when the meat looks kind of like this, add the green onions and stir those in to cook. I like to leave them just a hair on the underdone side, and go ahead and scrape up any brown bits you find. Oh, also, before the sausage or pasta are done, you want to thoroughly whisk together 4 large eggs, and then add 3 ounces of freshly, and I do mean freshly, grated Pecorino Romano, a hard sheep's milk cheese, which is also the go-to for cacio e pepe. Could you use Parmigiano Reggiano or Granata Padano? Sure you could. If you want me to lock myself in my attic garret and cry all through the afternoon, go ahead, you beast. You also want to whisk in about a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. Grinding your pepper to order makes about the same amount of difference to a dish as grinding coffee beans immediately prior to brewing does, i.e. a lot. When the
Just quickly, what's wrong with using Parmesan in a carbonara? I always thought that was the cheese of choice, or traditionally used. Let me know if I'm wrong, guys. I'm always open-minded to try. But yeah, I thought it would normally have been Parmesan. I use Parmesan anyway, although admittedly, I don't use 4 whole eggs. Oh, it depends how much I'm making. But I normally omit some of the egg whites. So you end up with like a richer, like an eggier kind of custard. What do you call it? Custard? Going on there, like an eggier mix, a richer, yolkier mix. And then add cream to it. And then your Parmesan. I can't use Parmesan, Alton says. I'm a beast.
pasta reaches that magical state we call al dente, soft, but still putting up a little fight. Fish it out with a strainer or a spider and transfer directly to the sausage. Do not dump out that water. Leave it where it is. Why? Well, as anyone that's worked in an Italian restaurant or any restaurant that serves a lot of pasta knows that when it comes to certain dried pasta dishes, the dishes get better as the night goes on. And that's because the reheat pots get starchier and starchier as service progresses. And line cooks know to use spoonfuls of that starchy goodness to tighten dishes, that is to thicken the pan sauces. Pasta water is the secret ingredient to so many dishes, including this one. In fact, I always keep at least a pint or so on hand, sealed in the fridge, just in case. It also freezes very, very well. All right, when the noodles and the sausage are nicely combined, brought together by a little bit of that precious starch water, kill the heat, okay? You used a heavy vessel, right? Probably cast iron, I hope. So there's plenty of residual heat in there, energy there to cook the egg. So once it's off, add the egg mixture and just toss thoroughly to combine slowly. And if it starts to look a little clunky, you can add a couple more spoonfuls of that starch water. And this is usually when I add third to half of that crumb mixture. Just keep stirring for about another minute. And then finally, turn out onto the plates, or just one plate. If you're really hungry or shaped like me, And then garnish, of course, with the final breadcrumb mixture. It really is a complete breakfast. You've got all the requirements. You got your cheese, meat, even orange juice, right? The flavor will definitely come through from the zest and the aroma. As for variations, you could switch out the sausage for bacon or guanciale, the rigatoni for spaghetti or bucatini. The only trick with long strands is you need to use like a wide straight-sided saute pan for the water, just to get the strands in without having to break them. And of course, if you went with elbow macaroni and cheddar, you'd have mac and cheese. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, only I don't really like cheddar with eggs.
Yeah, a different flavor.
Unless you're making a souffle, which is definitely another show. As far as beverage pairings, you could go with a screwdriver, but honestly, slightly flat champagne left over from the party you threw last night would be the preferred way to go.
Oh, will it?
I didn't have a party, it was just me, but see you next time.
I love his sense of humor. Always gets a barrel of laughs out of me whenever I watch these videos. Interesting. I was wondering where the orange zest was going. I don't know how I feel about that. I'd have to try it to be converted. I'm not sure. Orange zest in sausage meat. Oh, I don't know. With the sage. Not sure about that one. I'll happily try it, but I'm not convinced at this moment in time. I like the addition of the sausage with the carbonara. That sounds delicious. And swapping out the parmesan for Pecco Romano. I'd try it. I like the flavour. It's a very strong flavour from the parmesan, isn't it? You tend to not need as much. There was no cream in Alton Brown's recipe. Maybe I'm not making it an authentic way. I don't put a lot of cream in, only a little bit. But like I say, I omit some of the egg whites, so it's quite rich. It is a very, very filling dish. Normally, I use pancetta in there. So yeah, the addition of that breakfast sausage sounds quite interesting. It sounds like I'm still not convinced on the orange zest. Seems like a strange one, but I do like. Oh, what did he call it? Those breadcrumbs. I'm gonna give that a go next time I make carbonara, I think. So one thing I love about his videos as well is that you always come away with a handful of things that you want to try the next time you do that dish, or it inspires you to just go away and cook, doesn't it? I love it. Can't get enough of these Alton Brown videos. Guys, I hope you enjoyed watching along with me. Take care of yourselves, my lovelies, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.